The alien queen touched my scar, then fell to her knees, shaking. Luke Carter walked through the huge corridors of the alien palace. The walls were tall and smooth, made of shining metal that seemed alive. Soft lights glowed along the floor, guiding visitors. Luke felt small here. He had traveled far from Earth to meet Queen Arava, the ruler of many alien species. People said she had lived for hundreds of years. Her decisions could change the lives of billions. Luke adjusted the strap of his satchel and tried to calm his racing heart. He had faced dangers before, fought wars, and survived battles humans could not imagine. Yet walking into this palace, knowing all eyes would be on him, made him nervous. He tried to remember why he was here. Humans had been silent for centuries. No one thought they were still alive. The galaxy believed humans had disappeared after an ancient war. His scar burned slightly beneath his shirt. It ran from his chest to his shoulder, jagged and ugly. It was a reminder of the battle he barely survived, a battle that no one remembered. Most humans had erased their history to protect themselves. Only a few knew the truth. Luke had been told never to speak of it. Yet somehow his scar carried its own story, a story the aliens could feel. He reached the grand doors of the Queen's chamber. Two guards, tall and armored, looked at him with wide eyes. They whispered to each other, not hiding their fear. Luke nodded politely. He had learned early that respect could calm even the most suspicious creatures. The doors opened, sliding silently to reveal a room bigger than any human palace. The floor was smooth and white, reflecting light from the glowing ceiling. At the far end, sitting on a throne of crystal and metal, was Queen Arava. She was taller than any human, with skin that shimmered like moonlight. Her eyes were deep and golden. She wore flowing robes that seemed to float around her body. When she looked at Luke, she did not speak. She only stared. Luke felt like she was peering into his soul, reading every thought, every fear. He swallowed and took a step forward. "Your Highness," he said carefully. His voice sounded small in the vast room. "I am Luke Carter, envoy of Earth. I come in peace and with respect." Queen Arava's lips moved slightly, but no sound came out. She rose slowly from her throne. The movement made the room feel colder, like the air itself was watching him. She came closer. Luke noticed that her hands glowed faintly, as if she carried energy within her body. When she stopped in front of him, she raised a hand, not in anger but curiosity. She reached toward his chest, toward the scar hidden beneath his shirt. Luke froze. He had never seen anyone react like this before. The moment her fingers touched his scar, her golden eyes widened. A shiver ran through her body and her knees buckled. Luke caught her just in time before she fell completely. "Your Highness," he said, holding her carefully. She shook, her hands pressing against his chest. Luke could feel something strange, something heavy, like a memory not his own, passing through her. She pulled back slightly and whispered in a voice that trembled, This cannot be." Luke stepped back, unsure what he had done. He had not hurt her. The scar was old, faded, nothing magical. Yet Queen Arava's reaction was unlike anything he had seen in his life. The room grew silent. The guards looked confused and afraid. One stepped forward but froze when the queen raised her hand. Her shaking stopped, but her eyes still glowed with awe and fear. Who is this human?" she asked. Her voice was low, almost broken. How did you survive?" Luke took a deep breath. He had practiced diplomacy, but nothing could prepare him for this moment. I survived, Your Highness. That is all. I mean no harm." Queen Arava shook her head. She looked down at his scar, then back at him. "This mark, it should not exist. Humans were gone. They were legends, stories told to scare children. And yet," Luke felt a weight in her words. He wanted to explain, but he did not know how much he could tell. The scar on his chest was more than a wound. It was proof of the last human fight, a fight that saved the galaxy from a threat no one else remembered. If she knew, she might fear humans more than any weapon she had seen. "I do not understand, Your Highness," Luke said. I am just a man. I have fought battles, but I am not a threat. Queen Arava's golden eyes softened for a moment, then hardened. No one remembers the past, she said, and yet your presence, your mark, speaks louder than history itself. Tell me what this means. Luke hesitated. He could say nothing, or he could reveal a truth the galaxy was not ready for. He chose carefully. The scar, it is from a battle long ago. Humans fought to survive. We won, but at a great cost. Most of us chose to disappear. We let others rise. We chose peace instead of power. Queen Arava's knees buckled again, though she remained standing. She looked at him with a mix of fear, awe, and something else Luke could not name. You, humans, you were never defeated, she whispered. Luke shook his head. We were strong, stronger than you can imagine. But we did not stay. We watched. We waited. We never forgot. We wanted only peace. The queen's breathing grew fast. She sank to one knee, unable to stay upright. Luke stepped back, unsure if he should move closer or give her space. The guards murmured and took small steps back. Some whispered words he did not understand, words of fear and respect. Tell me everything, Queen Arava said, her voice shaking. I need to know why did you survive? Luke realized she wanted more than stories. She wanted proof. He hesitated. Humans had always hidden their strength. Revealing it could change everything. Yet something in the Queen's eyes told him she already knew more than she admitted. She had felt it when she touched the scar. I can tell you in time, Luke said slowly. But know this, humans are not here to conquer. We are here to remind the galaxy of what we chose, not what we lost. Queen Arava looked at him, her golden eyes softening. She reached out again, lightly touching the scar. This time her hand did not shake. Instead, she held it gently, as if trying to understand a language her mind had never learned. I do not know what to feel, she admitted. Fear, awe, respect, all at once. Luke nodded. All of those feelings are natural. Humans leave strong impressions even when we do nothing. This scar, it is only a small part of our story. The queen slowly stood, taking a deep breath. She straightened, her robes flowing around her. You will stay, she said finally. You will not leave this palace until I understand everything. The galaxy needs to remember, and I will see that it does. Luke bowed slightly, unsure what he had just agreed to. He was only one man, and yet the weight of human history now rested in this alien palace. He looked down at his scar, faded and old, and realized that it was no longer just a memory. It was a message, a warning, and a bridge to the future. The palace walls seemed quieter now, as if listening to the silence between them. Luke and Queen Arava stared at each other, two beings separated by centuries of history and light years of space. One scar connected them, and through it, the galaxy's forgotten truth waited to be revealed. Outside, alien servants and guards whispered to each other, unsure what had just happened. Rumors would spread. Stories of the human who survived, the scar that carried the past, and the queen who fell before it. No one could yet imagine what this small human, Luke Carter, might change in a galaxy that had long forgotten him. For the first time in centuries, Queen Arava did not feel in control. She did not feel the power of her empire. All she felt was the presence of a human who should not have existed. And yet, here he was, carrying history in a scar and in silence. And Luke, though small and ordinary in his own eyes, realized he had stepped into a story far larger than himself. A story that would change everything. One scar at a time. After that first meeting, Queen Arava could not stop thinking about the scar. She walked through her palace halls alone, her mind racing. She touched her forehead, trying to understand why a single mark on a human's chest could shake her so deeply. Centuries of rule had taught her to feel power, not fear. Yet this human, Luke Carter, had done something she could not explain. She remembered the stories told long ago, stories her teachers whispered when she was young. They spoke of humans as a lost race, stronger than anyone imagined. Humans had once fought an enemy that no other species could stop. Legends said they could survive anything, overcome anything, and then vanish without leaving a trace. People spoke of their courage, their strange mercy, and the scars they left behind, scars that carried more than flesh. Queen Arava had never believed them. Humans were myths, stories to frighten children or inspire soldiers. But now here was Luke, standing before her, scarred and alive. And when she touched the mark, memories she did not know she had flooded her mind. She saw flashes of battles across the stars, ships larger than moons exploding, armies falling, and humans walking through the chaos unharmed. She saw the courage of those humans, their discipline, and something more, their choice to leave, to vanish, letting other species rise instead of conquering everything. Queen Arava sank to a throne in a private room. Her hands trembled and she held her head. For the first time in centuries, she did not feel power. She felt awe, fear, and confusion. How could a human be here now after so long? How could a single scar carry so much history? She looked at her hands and wondered if she had ever truly understood strength. Outside her chambers, her advisors whispered. They did not understand why the queen had called for privacy with the human envoy. Many feared he carried weapons beyond imagination. Some thought he might be a spy or a messenger from a lost human empire. Whispers of anger and suspicion traveled through the palace like wildfire. The galaxy had long believed humans extinct. Now the impossible had returned. In a quiet observation room, two alien generals spoke in hushed voices. "Have you seen her?" one asked. "She cannot stop looking at him. He is just a man, and yet she fears him." "Fear is not the word," said the other. "It is reverence, respect. Awe. Humans were supposed to vanish. They were not supposed to exist, and yet here he is." News traveled fast in the palace. Servants who had only ever seen humans in paintings and stories stared at Luke as he moved through the halls. He carried himself with quiet confidence, unaware of the storm he had caused. Most humans would have hidden their scars, avoided the queen entirely. Luke did neither. He did not know the legend, but the legend knew him. Queen Arava recalled more visions. She saw a battlefield under red skies, filled with weapons no longer known. Humans fought endlessly, without fear, against a force that could destroy galaxies. She saw the humans standing, wounded and bloodied, yet always moving forward. She saw them choosing not to conquer, choosing to leave even when victory was in their grasp. She saw their mercy, their intelligence, their patience. And she understood why she trembled when she touched Luke's scar. "He is a link," she whispered to herself, "a living memory of what humans were, what they are." Meanwhile, Luke sat alone in a guest chamber, thinking about the queen. He did not understand her reaction, and that worried him. Humans had survived countless dangers, yet the queen's fear suggested that she knew more than she should. He tried to remember the battle that left his scar, the last fight humans ever fought before disappearing from the galaxy. The memory was painful but clear. He had seen companions fall, worlds burn, and yet he had survived. He had carried the history forward unknowingly in a scar. As evening fell over the alien capital, Queen Arava summoned her closest advisors. She did not hide her emotions. She explained what had happened, how the human scar had triggered visions she could not control. She described what she had seen: battles, victories, sacrifices. The room grew quiet. Even the most skeptical advisors could feel her fear. "You all must understand," she said. "Humans are not gone. They survived and they carry history with them. A single mark, a scar, can remind a queen of what she never knew. This is not a human threat in the way you think. This is something else. We must respect it. We must learn from it." The advisors exchanged worried glances. Some whispered that humans could return with fleets to claim the galaxy. Others believed the queen was overreacting, but no one dared to question her fully. She had fallen to her knees in front of a single human, a thing that no one had thought possible. Later, Queen Arava returned to Luke's chamber. She did not sit on her throne. She sat on the floor close to him, trying to understand. "I need to know more," she said quietly. "Tell me, human, why do you exist? Why do you carry this scar?" Luke looked at her. He did not want to brag, he did not want to start a war, yet he had to explain in a way she could understand. "The scar is from the last battle humans fought," he said slowly. "We faced an enemy no other species could stop. We won, but we paid a high price. Many of us died. Many of us chose to leave. We erased ourselves from history so others could grow. We did not want power, we wanted peace." Queen Arava listened carefully, her hand brushing lightly over the scar again. She felt the weight of his words. She felt the truth in them. Humans had been patient, cunning, and merciful. They had survived an impossible war, then stepped away. She realized that the galaxy had forgotten an entire race of legends. "Humans are more than we ever imagined," she whispered. "I thought we knew strength. We thought we understood power. We were wrong." Outside the palace, the galaxy began to stir. Rumors of the human envoy spread quickly. Empires that had once dismissed humans as myths now looked to the stars with fear. If humans were alive, what else might they be hiding? What weapons might they have? What knowledge could they carry? Whispers of worry and plotting traveled through councils and fleets. Inside the palace, Luke and Queen Arava began to speak more openly. She asked questions about battles, strategies, and choices humans had made. He answered carefully, leaving out things that could trigger panic. Yet even in his careful words, she could sense the depth of human courage. She could feel the restraint they had shown when they could have taken everything. "You have done what no other race could do," she said finally. "You survived when all thought you would perish, and you chose mercy over conquest. That is unimaginable," Luke nodded. "We chose peace, not fear. We survived so that we could remind the galaxy that strength without mercy is dangerous." Queen Arava stayed silent for a long time, staring at the scar and then at Luke. She realized that history was not as simple as rulers and weapons. It was made by those who could survive, who could resist, and who could walk away. She had met many powerful beings in her life, but none had left a mark on her like this human. "You will stay," she said finally. "We need time. The galaxy must learn, but carefully. We cannot let fear take the place of understanding. You human are more than anyone imagined. The galaxy must know your story slowly, safely." Luke nodded again. He did not expect this. Humans had survived for centuries by staying hidden. Now hidden no more, he realized that the story of his scar and the humans who bore it would ripple through the galaxy in ways he could not yet see. That night, Queen Arava could not sleep. She sat alone, staring at the palace walls, her mind alive with visions of battles long past. Humans had chosen mercy. Humans had survived. And now, for the first time, a human was standing before her, alive, carrying proof of everything she had thought was impossible. She realized the galaxy was about to change. Not through weapons, not through politics, but through the quiet strength of a single human who bore a scar. The weight of history was heavy, but it was also full of possibility. For the first time, Queen Arava felt humility and hope at the same time. She had met a legend, and the legend was real. Luke, too, felt the weight of what was happening. He was not a hero, not a king. He was a man who had survived, carrying a mark of what humans had done. Yet he understood that his presence, his scar, and his silence were enough to make powerful beings tremble. The galaxy had forgotten humans, but it could not forget them any longer. And so, in the quiet of the palace, two beings from different worlds stared at each other. One bore the history of an entire lost race, and the other carried the memory of every empire in the stars. The scar on Luke's chest connected them, and through it, the galaxy would remember humanity once more. Queen Arava spent hours speaking with Luke Carter in the quiet of her palace. She did not bring guards or advisors this time. She wanted to understand humans fully. Each word he spoke seemed to pull a thread from the past, unraveling stories the galaxy had forgotten. Humans survived, she said finally, her golden eyes wide. And yet you did not conquer. You let the galaxy grow without you. Why? Luke looked down at his scar. He could feel the weight of every life lost that day, every friend who had fallen beside him. We had the power, he said softly. We could have taken everything, every world, every fleet, every empire, but we chose not to. We wanted life to continue even if we were gone. Humans do not measure strength by conquest. We measure it by what we protect. Queen Arava shook her head slowly. She tried to imagine such restraint. Most species she knew would have taken everything and ruled forever. Humans had done the opposite. They had survived and then they had disappeared. She could feel the weight of that decision pressing against her chest. So the stories were wrong, she whispered. Humans did not vanish because they were weak. They vanished because they were merciful, Luke nodded. Yes. Mercy is stronger than war. Humans learned that the hard way. We survived the worst and we walked away. That is our choice and our warning. Queen Arava touched the scar again, lightly this time. She felt something in it, not pain, not energy, but a memory older than her own life. She saw flashes of ancient battles, ships tearing through the skies, armies fighting against impossible odds. Humans stood in the center, always moving forward, always protecting others even at great cost. She realized that every story she had heard about humans was incomplete. The legends told of their strength but never of their mercy. Why show me this? She asked finally. Why now? Luke looked into her eyes. Because the galaxy is in danger again. Humans are not here to fight yet, but they cannot stay hidden forever. Some things are returning, things we once defeated together with others. The galaxy must remember what humans can do and what humans choose to do. It is a lesson more important than any fleet or weapon. Queen Arava absorbed his words. She had spent centuries building empires, conquering planets, and shaping civilizations. She had known fear, but never like this. Never from a single human standing quietly, telling her what history had really been. She realized that humanity's real strength was in its choices, not its victories. I need proof, she said, standing and pacing the room. I must see it, not only the words but the truth, where humans fought, where humans survived. Luke agreed. He led her to a small chamber filled with ancient holograms, stored in a hidden human archive. It had traveled with him through space, preserved for centuries. Queen Arava gasped as she watched. Holographic battles unfolded before her eyes. Entire star systems were lit with fire and energy. Ships larger than cities were destroyed in seconds. Armies moved with precision, coordinated and disciplined. Humans stood in the center, moving calmly, directing allies, saving worlds. She saw the scars, the losses, the courage. She understood at last. This is incredible, she whispered. Humans, you did all this and yet you vanished, Luke nodded. Yes. After the battles, after the wars, we chose to leave. We erased ourselves from history. Some records remain hidden. We survived to remind the galaxy that strength is not only in victory but in restraint. The scars we carry tell our story. Queen Arava sank to the floor again, overwhelmed. Centuries of power, knowledge, and conquest had not prepared her for this. Humans were not just strong, they were wise in ways she had never known. She realized the galaxy had been judging humans for centuries without understanding them. If the galaxy knew, she said finally, empires would tremble, fleets would halt, entire species would fear humans not for war but for their choices. The galaxy would see humans as protectors. Luke smiled slightly. That is why we stayed hidden. We wanted peace, not fear. Humans are dangerous only if others forget that mercy is a choice. The scar is proof and we carry it willingly. It is our message. Strength must serve life, not domination. Queen Arava could feel the truth in his words. She realized why the moment she first touched the scar had shaken her so deeply. She had felt the memory of ancient humans, their battles and their choices. She had understood something no other species could fully comprehend. Humans had survived not through weapons alone but through patience, intelligence, and restraint. She stood slowly, her robes brushing the floor. She felt respect for this human that she had never felt for any alien before. She bowed her head slightly. I understand now. Humans are not myths. They are history, and more importantly, they are lessons. Luke nodded. Lessons the galaxy cannot ignore, even if humans choose to stay silent. Queen Arava looked out of the window at the stars. She saw fleets of alien ships moving, empires stretching across space, and countless worlds living unaware of the humans who had shaped the past. She understood now that humans had allowed the galaxy to grow, had let other species rise, had protected life without taking it for themselves. It was a choice no one else had made. Humans are more than we imagined, she said quietly, almost to herself. We cannot forget this again. The next day, Queen Arava called a private meeting with the leaders of her empire. She spoke slowly, carefully, knowing her words would carry weight. She told them about Luke, about the scar, about the hidden history of humans. Some leaders did not believe her. Some whispered of trickery or illusions. But Queen Arava stood firm. This human is proof, she said. Proof that humanity survived. Proof that they fought when none could, and proof that they chose mercy instead of conquest. We cannot ignore them. We must learn from them. We must honor them. Rumors of the meeting spread. Whispers reached distant worlds. Alien rulers and generals began to fear what they had never known. Humans were alive, and they were powerful beyond imagination, not through weapons, but through choices. Some worried humans would return and dominate. Others realized that humans had never needed to dominate because their strength was measured differently. Queen Arava returned to Luke that evening. She sat across from him, her golden eyes calm now, yet thoughtful. You carry history, she said. History we forgot. History we dismissed. And yet it is here alive through you. We must find a way to honor that history without causing panic, without war. Luke looked at her. Humans survived because we chose life over conquest. The galaxy must understand that strength can be quiet, unseen. The scar is a message, not a weapon. It tells others that choices matter more than victories. We protect life, not claim it. Queen Arava nodded. She understood fully now. Humans were not returning to take the galaxy by force. They were here to remind the galaxy of its own mistakes, its own pride, and its own weakness. Humans had survived when all else had failed, and their choices could guide the galaxy if others were willing to listen. She reached out and lightly touched the scar again. This time she did not tremble. She felt respect, understanding, and a sense of hope. She realized that humans were the quiet guardians of the galaxy, the ones who had saved countless lives and allowed civilizations to flourish. We must plan carefully, she said. We cannot reveal everything yet. The galaxy must learn slowly so fear does not replace understanding. You human are the first step. The scar is proof, but the message must spread wisely. Luke nodded. I will stay, Your Highness. We will share the story carefully. Humans are not here to rule, only to remind. The galaxy must remember, and we will help it, one step at a time. Queen Arava smiled faintly. Then we begin, she said. We honor humans not with power, but with respect. The galaxy will know, and it will learn. And your scar will be the first story. Outside the palace, stars shone brightly. The galaxy moved as it always had, unaware that history itself had returned in the form of one man and his scar. Yet change was coming. Whispers of humans spread quietly, reaching fleets, worlds, and councils. The galaxy had forgotten the past, but it could not forget forever. And in the quiet palace, Queen Arava and Luke sat together, two beings separated by centuries and light years, yet connected by a scar and the story it carried. The galaxy was about to learn that humanity was not just strong, not just alive, but wise in ways no one else could match. For the first time in centuries, Queen Arava felt hope. And for the first time in generations, the galaxy was about to remember humans, not as myths, but as guardians, survivors, and teachers. The news of Luke Carter and his scar spread quickly through Queen Arava's empire. Word traveled from the palace to distant planets, to fleets that patrolled the outer systems, and to councils of powerful alien leaders. Whispers turned into rumors and rumors into unease. Many species had always thought humans were extinct, a race of myths from a long-forgotten time. Now, humans were alive, and a single scar had shaken the queen herself. In the High Council chamber of the star system of Zelara, leaders argued heatedly. "This cannot be true," said Governor Thalric, a tall alien with gray scales. "Humans disappeared thousands of years ago. All records say they perished. This envoy, it must be a trick." The counselor beside him, a thin alien named Yelra, shook her head. "It is no trick. Reports from the palace are clear. Queen Arava herself fell to her knees when she saw the human scar. She has never been wrong about anything. But one human, a single human, cannot threaten us," another counselor, Doran, argued. "We have fleets, weapons, armies." "Why fear a single man?" Yelra's eyes narrowed. "Do you not understand? It is not the man, it is what he represents. Humans survived wars that no one else could survive. They walked away from victory when they could have conquered everything. And now they are here. History will remember them, and history is dangerous." Far away, across the galaxy, news of the human envoy reached other empires. Some laughed, some were afraid. Whispers of humans living began to stir old fears. Fleets that had once dismissed humans as myths began reviewing records. Maps were studied. Archives opened. Every ancient text, every forgotten account of humans fighting impossible wars was read and reread. For the first time in centuries, alien civilizations remembered humans, and they feared what they had forgotten. Back in the palace, Queen Arava met with Luke once again. She had grown calmer, but the weight of responsibility pressed on her. She had to decide how the galaxy would learn the truth without chaos. She understood now that humans were not conquerors, yet many species might not see it that way. "You must understand," she said quietly, "the galaxy is afraid. Humans were strong before, but now they are alive again. Empires that once dismissed your kind are reviewing old histories. Some may act out of fear. Others may seek to control humans before they learn restraint." Luke nodded. "We expected this. Humans have always been cautious. We survive quietly, avoid attention, but the galaxy is changing. They must learn, but slowly. We cannot allow panic to lead to war." Queen Arava touched his scar again, gently. "Your mark carries history, and now it carries responsibility. Humans may not seek power, but others will respond as if you do. Your existence alone is a spark." While the Queen and Luke spoke, distant worlds began to act. Some alien leaders secretly sent fleets toward known human colonies, hoping to confront or control them before humans could act. Spies and scouts were sent to track human movements. Rumors of advanced weapons and unknown abilities spread like wildfire. In some systems, panic took hold. Many believed humans could return at any moment to claim dominion over the galaxy. Yet among other species, there was awe. Scholars, historians, and teachers began piecing together ancient accounts of humans and their victories. They realized humans had survived horrors no one else could. Their restraint, their intelligence, and their mercy were qualities no other species could match. Slowly, a new respect for humans began to grow. Inside the palace, Queen Arava convened a secret council. She invited only those she trusted. She explained the truth of humans, the choices they had made, and the danger of misunderstanding them. "We cannot allow fear to rule," she said. "Humans survived for centuries by walking away, not fighting. That is their strength. We must respect it, and we must help the galaxy see the truth before fear destroys it." The council listened, some skeptical, some awed. One advisor, a female alien named Serena, spoke carefully. If the galaxy knew all humans were like this, we might fear them less or fear them more. How do we prepare for something we cannot control? Queen Arava answered calmly. We prepare by learning. Humans do not need to fight. They survive quietly. We show others what humans represent, strength guided by wisdom, not conquest. The galaxy will remember them as guardians, not threats, if we guide the lesson carefully. Luke watched quietly. He knew humans had survived by staying hidden. Now, their presence alone was enough to make empires rethink their history, their pride, and their arrogance. The galaxy would be forced to remember, whether it wanted to or not. Outside the palace, alien citizens whispered about the human envoy. In markets, on ships, and in crowded plazas, conversations began. Some feared humans returning with fleets. Others wondered what it meant that humans could survive so long. Stories that had been dismissed as myths were now taken seriously. Children asked their teachers about humans, and teachers, unsure of how to answer, recounted tales with more respect. Meanwhile, Queen Arava and Luke began to prepare for the next step. They could not reveal all at once. Too much truth too fast could spark wars. Yet they knew the galaxy needed to understand, needed to remember, needed to respect humans. We must be careful, Luke said. Humans are not weapons. We survived because we avoided becoming weapons. The galaxy must see that. We cannot let fear twist the truth. Queen Arava nodded. Then we guide them slowly. We show them what humans are capable of, not through fear but through understanding. We will remind them of the past so they may choose differently in the future. Days passed. Fleets were recalled. Some empires sent envoys to Queen Arava seeking counsel. They asked questions about the human envoy. Some were afraid. Some were awed. Slowly, the story of humans spread, and with it, a new perspective. Humans were not conquerors. They were survivors, guardians, and teachers. In private moments, Queen Arava would watch Luke. She felt a deep respect for him, not as a ruler, not as a hero, but as a symbol of a people the galaxy had forgotten. His scar told the story of centuries, a story she had almost dismissed as legend. Now she understood. Humans had survived impossible odds. They had chosen mercy over power, and that choice was more dangerous and more admirable than any weapon she had ever known. As the stars moved above the palace, the galaxy slowly began to change. Whispers of fear and awe intertwined. Some fleets remained on alert, unsure what humans might do. Some scholars and leaders began to study human history in earnest. The memory of humans, long forgotten, was waking. Queen Arava looked at Luke and smiled faintly. We cannot force the galaxy to understand. They must remember, but you carry the first proof. Your scar, your story, your presence, it is enough to make the galaxy pause. Luke nodded. Humans do not seek power. We survive to remind the galaxy that choices matter more than victories. The scar is proof. And now others will see it too. Slowly, carefully, the lesson will spread. That night, as the palace grew quiet, Queen Arava reflected on the strange turn of history. A single human, a single scar, had caused empires to tremble, fleets to halt, and scholars to rethink centuries of belief. The galaxy was waking to the truth of humanity, and with that awakening came both fear and hope. And in the quiet of the stars, Luke Carter sat in his chamber, unaware of how many eyes watched him, how many minds reevaluated history, how many leaders questioned their pride. He was not a hero. He was just a man who survived. Yet the galaxy would never forget him, or what his scar represented. Humans had returned to memory. The galaxy would remember, and when it did, no empire could ignore them again. The galaxy was no longer the same. The news of humans being alive and Luke Carter standing with his scar had spread to every corner of space. Whispers became conversations, conversations became debates, and debates became plans. Empires that had once dismissed humans as myths now felt a deep respect and a quiet fear. Queen Arava stood on her palace balcony, looking out at the stars. Fleets moved in the distance, not in preparation for war but in curiosity. Alien worlds were sending envoys to her, seeking to understand the humans, their choices, and the lessons of the past. She thought of Luke, quietly sitting in his chamber, unaware of the impact he had made. He was not a hero in his own eyes, but to the galaxy he was a symbol of survival, mercy, and wisdom. "Your Highness," said Serena, her advisor, stepping beside her. "The galaxy is watching. Fleets are hesitating. Leaders are reconsidering. The story of humans is spreading faster than we expected." Queen Arava nodded. "That is good. Humans survived not to conquer but to remind the galaxy that strength is more than weapons. We must guide this memory carefully. Fear must not replace respect." Serena looked thoughtful. "Some are afraid, some may still try to challenge humans. How do we ensure peace?" Queen Arava smiled faintly. "By showing the truth. Humans did not conquer before and they will not now. Their choices are a lesson. The galaxy must learn from restraint, not from violence." Meanwhile, Luke walked through the palace gardens. The air was calm, filled with the scent of alien flowers that glowed softly in the moonlight. He thought of the battles that had left his scar, of the friends he had lost, and of the choices humans had made. Humans had survived because they had chosen mercy, not power, and now the galaxy would remember them for it. Queen Arava joined him quietly. She did not speak at first. She simply walked beside him, listening to the soft sounds of the garden. Then she spoke. "Your presence has changed the galaxy," she said. "You may not see it, but empires are thinking differently. Fleets are pausing. Historians are studying human history. Even warriors who would once have attacked now hesitate." Luke nodded slowly. "Humans do not seek glory. We survive to protect life, not to rule it. The galaxy is only now realizing what we chose centuries ago. Our scar, it tells our story. And that story is enough." Queen Arava looked at him, her golden eyes steady. "You carry history in a single mark. The galaxy will learn from it. They will remember, not because humans demand it, but because humans earned it." The next weeks were filled with quiet diplomacy. Queen Arava invited representatives from distant empires to meet Luke and hear his story. She did not announce it as a human return or a threat. She presented it as a lesson, a history long forgotten. Leaders arrived cautiously. Some were skeptical, expecting a human warrior or a weapon. Instead, they found a man with a scar, calm, quiet, and wise. Luke spoke of battles long past, of victories humans had earned but not taken, and of the choices to leave when power was possible. He spoke of mercy, patience, and survival. Many leaders listened with awe. Some whispered among themselves, realizing that humans had survived dangers they could not even imagine. The galaxy had underestimated humans for centuries, and now the truth could not be denied. Queen Arava watched carefully. She could see the change in their eyes. Respect replaced suspicion. Awe replaced fear. Humans were no longer myths, nor were they threats. They were teachers, survivors, and guardians. In a private chamber, one of the older counselors, a thin alien named Vorin, spoke to Queen Arava. "Your Highness, humans, they are extraordinary. I had thought them gone, legends only. Yet they survived, and they carry wisdom we never had. I see now that the galaxy must remember them." Queen Arava nodded. "And they will, slowly, carefully, but they will. Humans are not here to conquer, only to remind us what strength truly is. We will honor them without fear. Their story must guide us, not control us." As days passed, human history was studied and restored. Archives that had been forgotten for centuries were reopened. Scholars discovered that humans had saved countless civilizations, often in silence. Their victories were not celebrated because humans had not wanted glory. They had survived, yes, but always with mercy. Luke continued to meet with alien leaders. He did not boast. He did not demand recognition. He simply told the truth. The scar on his chest reminded everyone of the costs humans had paid and the choices they had made. It became a symbol of patience, resilience, and wisdom. Queen Arava often watched from her chambers. She felt pride and respect, not for herself, but for the human before her. He was a living memory of a people the galaxy had almost forgotten. She realized that humans had returned not to fight, not to rule, but to guide through example. Outside, the galaxy slowly began to change. Fleets moved with caution, armies trained with humility, and civilizations reconsidered their history. Some alien leaders sent envoys to human colonies, hoping to understand the lessons humans had learned. Others wrote histories anew, giving humans the recognition they deserved. Fear still lingered in some corners, but it was tempered by understanding. One night Luke stood on the balcony of the palace, looking at the stars. He thought of the humans who had come before him, of the battles fought, of the sacrifices made, and of the choice to leave the galaxy to grow on its own. He felt the weight of history, but also hope. Humans had survived, and now their story would guide countless lives. Queen Arava joined him silently. "You carry a heavy past," she said, "but also a future. The galaxy will learn from you, from humans. Your scar is more than a mark, it is a message." Luke looked at her and nodded. "I do not need glory, humans never wanted it. We survived so others could grow. Our scar reminds the galaxy of that choice. Strength without mercy is danger. Strength with mercy is life." She smiled softly. "Then the galaxy will remember humans correctly, not as myths, not as conquerors, but as guardians. History will honor them finally." In the following months, more humans revealed themselves quietly, though not as rulers. They traveled between worlds, teaching, advising, and guiding. They did not demand power, and they did not take it. The galaxy began to understand what humans had always known. Survival was not enough. Wisdom, mercy, and choice were the true measures of strength. Queen Arava and Luke continued to work together, carefully guiding the galaxy's memory. Fleets that had once moved for conquest now paused, scholars rewrote histories, and alien leaders acted with caution and respect. Humans were no longer forgotten. Their story, carried by one man and his scar, had changed the galaxy forever. And in the quiet of the palace, Luke often touched the scar lightly. It was a reminder of the past, yes, but also of the future. The galaxy had learned a lesson it had almost forgotten. Humans survived not to conquer, but to protect, and that choice made them stronger than any empire, stronger than any weapon, and more important than anyone had imagined. Queen Arava stood beside him one evening, looking out at the stars. "The galaxy will remember humans," she said, "not because they demand it, but because they earned it. And you will be remembered as the first to show them the way." Luke smiled faintly. "Humans do not need to be remembered for themselves. We survived for life, for choice, for peace. The scar is enough to carry that story." And so the galaxy moved forward, quietly but changed. Humans were no longer myths. They were remembered. They were respected. They were guardians of history and life. And one man, Luke Carter, with a simple scar across his chest, had reminded the galaxy of everything humans had once sacrificed, and everything they could teach. The stars shone above, peaceful now, as empires paused to consider a simple truth. Strength without mercy is empty, but mercy with strength can guide the future of all civilizations. The galaxy remembered, and it would never forget again. Humans had returned, not to rule, not to fight, but to teach through example. And in every corner of space, their story began to shine.